Welcome guys, I'm glad that you're back. So today we're going just to practice a little bit of JavaScript and a lot of CSS in order to make this responsive single page. Okay, so without more to say, this is NeoDev. Let's grow together and let's get started. Alright guys, so in order to start with, let's go with our VS Code. Already have all of the files that we are going to use. Let me expand this window and let's go with our VS Code again. So HTML exclamation mark, hit enter, remove this meta tag because that's for Internet Explorer, Corona title. Then we'll need to link our CSS. I like to start with the data slash and then to give it a website icon. Why? Because I love to. Need to target my JavaScript logo, remove the type attribute that's meant for Internet Explorer, as well as the shortcut keyword. Right? And finally, do not forget to use your script tag just above the closing body tag and that slash main.js. Alright then, so let's go and hit go live server. This should open a new tab in our browser, like so, with our JS logo. Yeah. So let's move on. And so the first thing we need to do inside of our body tag is to create our header and then a section. So we are going to have two HTML elements initially. Then let's go with the span with the class of brand hyphen logo. Here we're going to use an image, okay? But the source attribute they're going to use is related to another page or the page source. So if I do this, I got my source, my alt, and class corona hyphen logo. And we have our logo over there, and that's great. Now, moving on, just beneath that span, we need to create a navigation. So we will say nav with the ID of nav and the class of nav, another list with the class of menu. And here we are going to have 4 list items. Already have them here. So just gonna paste them because I don't want to type each one of them to save time. Alright then, so moving on, we need to go inside of our section right here. And here, let's get started with the split class dot s underscore times 2, because the first is going to be the left side and then naturally the other right side. But at the middle, we are going to have a middle bottle. And here I'm going to have my image with the class of bottle because it's going to be a bottle like this bottle. All right, or this beer. Okay then, so for the right side, it's going to be pretty straightforward. In H1 with the class of title and the title of this is living, and then a container, so text hyphen container, and finally my paragraph tab with the class of description. Again, not gonna type every single line, so just gonna paste it. And by the way, don't worry, you can find this code on my code pen, so I will leave the link in the description below. Alright, so let's move on. We need, okay, I think that's it for now for our HTML. So let's move on with the style CSS. We need to target the popping family 300 and import this import rule right here. So we can go back, paste it. Now I need to use my global CSS selector and their pseudo CSS selector. I mean this one, and then comma, and then after, comma, and then before. Here going to use box sizing, border box CSS property. Next, we're going to create our variables. CSS variables are created. First of all, we need to call this selector, which is root, like this, colon, and then the word or keyword root. And in order to create the variable in CSS, you just need to type twice hyphen, and then whatever the name you want to put them, like those examples. Actually, those colors that we are going to use during this little project. So don't ask me, it's just the way it is. You need to do double hyphen there. All right, then let's move on with the body. First of all, remove the default margin that the body has, so margin none. Then I need to say min height 100 view height. Then I need to target my font family, font weight, and font size for this part. Font family is going to be Poppins because we already set in that way. You've seen. All right then, let's go. I think we can shrink this window or span until it has the, yeah, right there. All right, and then I can shrink because we're doing CSS, so I think that should do it. All right then. So let's go with the header. For testing purposes, I'm going to use just background color. Easy. Just testing purposes. So this is our header, but what happens is if I do the position of absolute, it removes the content from the normal document flow, like this. See, this gray. Okay, after that, I need to say just with 100% to fix that, then give it C index number 3. This is important because I need my hair to be above of everything, so that's the reason of Z index with the value of 3. Now let's give it some padding, 10 pixels, 90 pixels left and right. Now for the inside elements, remember that my header has elements inside. I'm going to say the following. First, display flex, then align items discern, justify content space between, in order to see one on the other side, left and right side. Okay, so that's great. Now I need to target my brand logo, this one right here. Just need to say that brand hyphen logo, correct spell. That's great. Now with a width of 150 pixels, like so, and yep, that's great. So moving on, we need to target my another list. So my another list with the class of menu, we have list style none to get rid of those bullets. There you are, or actually there you go. And then I need to say remove the default margin and padding that the another list has as default. Remove those. And then now for my list items for li, I will need to say display flex. Why? Because I want each link to be one next to each other. So that's great. Now for my another list menu, and I need to target my list items, all of them. Let's get started with the cursor of pointer, text transform uppercase, color white. This is the way that we can use the CSS variable. You need to call the function, parentheses, and the name of your variable, and it's white. Okay, let's change this a little bit in order for you to be able to see. Okay, there you go. Now I want my list item to have a hover effect, so basically I just need to say another list, my list items, if they are hover, if they are being hover, just need to change the color with my variable, my function variable, and it's going to be yellow. So if I hover them now, okay, let's just scroll down a little bit. I think that's it. Now we need to move on with our section part. So section, we need section. So section, I need one next to each other. So I just need to say display flex. And there you go, one next to each other. Okay, after that we need to start with the split class. So add split, sorry, just a split. We just need to say with 50%. Each, where are you? Each div should have a 50%, but don't worry because this is going to be absolute. So 50 plus 50 makes 100, right? So yeah. Then a min height of 100 VH, which means view height. Then for the elements inside of it, I need to say display flex, but flex direction column. And there you go. All right, let's move on and let's go with the left side now. So if I say s_left, I can say background. This is going to be a shorthand because I'm going to use the URL function to call my image. But what image? This image, this beer, you know, the liquid, the beer itself. And there you go. But I need to say the following. no repeat, then position, and finally background size. It's important to say background position and then slash background size in order to get this view. Okay, awesome. Let's move on and say, okay, since this is this has as well this split class. Remember the left side, where are you? Left and right, they both have the split class. It's valid for me to say the following: justify content flex end. Why? Because inside of the left side I have a little span. Oh, I didn't say that, my bad. I forgot that, sorry. This is little span which is going to have scroll down, and yeah, this one right here. My apologies, but yeah, this is span. So I already set that to the very bottom of the content. Now I need to target the span itself to position it where, well, actually right here. This part, this is my span. I need to position that right there. So in order to do that, we just need to say as left and target span, scroll down in order for us to be able to see, and middle border. I'll need to mess around with the source attribute because I want to see what's going on. Yeah, right there. Great. So with my span, I need to say text transform, uppercase. Then I need to give a font size 0.85 em. Where are you? There you go. And here's coming the deal. So we just need to say transform, rotate minus 90 degrees, and what we'll get, and this scroll down right there. So let's move on and let's position now that is an absolute, that span with the value of bottom 30% and left, I think, or I believe is 8%. And there you go. Now in order to create this line, we just need to say the following. So f left span, but before it's going to have a content initially with an empty string that I need to give it a position of absolute, then give it a border of 1 pixel solid, and it's going to be black color, then a width of 40 pixels, top 9 pixels, let's see, there you go, and finally left minus 50%, and there you go, we have our line over there. This is supposed to be an arrow, but you get the idea. Alright, now let's move on with the right side. So let's scroll down again. We only say S right because it's the right side, and then let's start with the background. Let's go with the bar. It's going to be my dark color blue. Then since this has the class of split, which has the class of display, sorry, the property of display flex, it's valid for me to say align items center and justify content center as well. But do not forget the text color and use your variable, which is going to be white. There you go. Now I need to target my title. So for this one, it's going to be pretty straightforward. So S right and then title, which is the S1. Font size, text transform, uppercase. There you go. Now for my content, which is S right dot text hyphen container. It's the container of my paragraph tab. Remember, I just need to say width 25 em, then text align, justify. There you go. Now I need to say a little bit of margin top with the value of minus 50 pixels. Then let's get a font wave. The value of 400 should be a little bit light. There you go. And now I need to target the paragraph itself. Remember, the paragraph has, yes, it has a class of description, just a little bit parent left, and that should do it. Finally, we get to do our middle border over here. But before we do that, let's remove that background color from our header right here, and I need to target my middle border. So first of all, let's remove this X. Let's go back. There is our border. Scroll down, and we need to say middle border, middle underscore border, because it's the wrapper. I need to say position, absolute, width, 120 pixels of my image. Then in order to center my image, I just need to say top, 50%, left, 50%, transform, translate, minus 50%, and minus 50%. So that is the way. But of course, the image looks whooping. So in order to change that, we just need to say just beneath the body, the following image, max width 100%. I believe it was. So yeah, 100%. And there you go. We have our bottle right there at the middle center. Okay, now I need to give it a hover effect. For this part, I just need to say the following. If it's hover this container for my image, I just need to change the width to 130 pixels. So if I hover, there you go. But let's give it a cursor of pointer, and I want a smooth transition, so I will say naturally transition property is going to change the width, duration, and the speed of my animation. So if I hover again, there you go. Now in order to do the yellow shadow, as you've seen right there, we just need to say the following. We just need to target the image itself. So middle bottle, that bottle, because that's the class of my image, I need to say the next CSS property filter and use the drop shadow. Remember, the box shadow, when it's a box and you have a shadow, in this case drop shadow is going to follow the shape of the image itself. That's why we were able to do this shadow just at the edge of the image, if you've seen, and not the box, just the image itself. So having said that, so the properties are pretty much basic the same as box shadow. So x-axis, y-axis is going to be the blur, and finally the color, going to use the yellow color. So this is for filter. Again, since I'm going to use a hover effect, I want to give it a transition, and this is going to filter that to seconds, same speed. So if I'm going to say the following, if I say, if my middle bottle is being hovered, I want to target my bottle itself. And what do I need to change? What? Just the blur of my filter effect from 15 to 5. So if I hover, there you go, pretty much the same as our final view. Alright, so this is our mirror bottle, and that's awesome. Now we can start with the media queries now in order to make it responsive. So if I finally shrink this, expand this, because we're going to deal with the mobile version now. Here we just need to type at media and then say and then max width 900 pixel, because that's going to be my breakpoint. Now let's go with the header and say the padding 10 pixels, 40 pixels left and right, and then I need to target my section right. For this part, I just need to say justify content flex n to put in at the bottom, but I need to get rid of my text container, and so display none, and then need to target my s right, that title, and need to change the font size 1.5 pm and text transform lowercase in this case naturally. Okay, so that's for the section. Now I need to move on with my middle bottle. So middle bottle, need to change the width 100 pixels, and then when my middle bottle is being hovered, I need to change that width to 110 pixels. Just that's it. So if I hover, there you go. Okay, that's for that part. Now we need to work with the navigation. Okay, so let's say the following now. So my navigation, I need to give it a position of absolute. Now I need to create a background color. Already have it here. We're going to use the linear gradient function. So if you've seen, that is my initial nav with the background color already there. What happens if I say width of 50%? Then mean height of 100 VH. Now we need to move that a little bit at the bottom, so we just need to say right 0 to the right side, of course, and then I need to say top 0, and that is my whole navigation. But in order for you to be able to see how much space is taking, let's just change the background color to, let's go with black. So that's it, that is my navigation. Okay, then now the other thing that we need to do here is to target my inner list. So I need to say inner list, that menu, I need to say flex direction column. Ta-da! And then after that we need to go back inside of our header right here. And so for you'll ILI, so for my inner list items, I just need to say display flex justify content cern align items at the cern. So this is actually for my inner list, and there you go, it's at the middle like this, at the center in the middle. So a little bit more to do is that I need to target each LI now. So down here, menu LI, give it a margin 1 rem 0 from one to each other. There you go. And then change the font size to what? 1 EM. And there you go. I believe it's pretty much the same. See? Change a little bit. This is a little bit bolder. This is a little bit light, but that's for our font family. I believe it was 400, not 300, but that doesn't matter actually. So let's move on, and we need to create our burger icon, this one right here. So in order to do that, we just need to go back inside of our HTML, and among the span and the navigation, we just need to create a burger. So we just need to say menu hyphen icon with the ID of menu hyphen icon. Just menu, no, menu hyphen icon, and here we're going to have 3 lines. So line number 1, 2, and 3. So this is going to be my burger menu. So let's go back inside of our style as CSS, and we need to create that naturally. So this is going to be my burger. Now menu hyphen icon, I need to target each div that has that div, that menu hyphen icon, and let's get started with width 35 pixels, height 35 pixels. Then the background color is going to be white. No URL, my bad. Bar and then white. Of course, then you're not able to see it. Now let's give a margin. Top 5 pixels. Let me remove that background color. Maybe you should be able to see it, and there you go. This is my navigation. So yes, in order to create that, and my bad, it's not 35, just 5. So we have 3 lines over there. My apologies. Okay, then now let's move on and position the whole menu icon. So we just need to say menu hyphen icon, position of absolute, then C index number 3 again should be above of everything, like this one, because if I'm calling my navigation, the burger menu should be at the very top, otherwise I won't be able to click on this, because if it doesn't have this C index of the value 3, because it means that is at the very top of that layer, I won't be able to click that burger icon. Alright, so now position this to the right side 40 pixels, give a cursor of pointer for this one, right? And that's it. That's supposed to be my navigation. However, let's go here, and there you go. Now we need to deal with our JavaScript, but what do we need to do here? Let's think a little bit. If I click the burger icon, what do you see? Well, the shape of the burger changes, my navigation shows up, and my list items are coming from the bottom to the top. Three things. Already have it right here. So in order to save us some time, so get element by ID, menu icon, this one. It's my burger. Then get element by ID, navigation, this one. And finally, each list item, query selector all, that menu, which is my another list, this one, and targeting each list item. So this returns a DOM object. Alright then, so what do I need to do here? Well, menu underscore icon that add a listener of click, and then my callback arrow function, and I need to say the following. First, menu that icon that class list does toggle who, a class list that I'm going to call active. But in order for you to be able to see that, we just need to go inside of our CSS at the very bottom, and we just need to say the following. If my burger is active, I need to target my line number one. Why? Because inside of my burger icon I have a div, 3 divs with the class line 1, 2, and 3. So for the first one I need to say transform rotate for minus 45 degrees, and then translate minus 5 pixels, 9 pixels. So for the line number 3, it's pretty much going to be the same, so just gonna copy, paste. So 45 degrees, minus and minus, and this should be line number 3. And finally for line number 2, I just need to give it an opacity of 0. There you go. Now let's give it a whirl and pop up. There you go. However, it's, you know, it's just showing up, but I need to give it a smooth transition. So in order to do that, we need to target each div, so right here, and to give it a transition property to change all of the properties, duration, and this is the speed of the animation. So there we go. Now great. Same idea will go for my navigation. So basically copy, paste, grab my navigation and paste. So if we go back inside of my navigation right here, let's go the initial values, because this top 0 is going to be my final view as you're seeing. So first let me do the minus 100 VH to remove it from our screen, that navigation, and I need to give it an opacity of 0 to start with for that case. And finally I think I should do it, but I need to give it a transition as well. So I need to say transition, first transition property. The first one that's going to change is going to be the top, the duration, and the speed of the animation. Things in transition allow us to do another property. We can set many properties, but many transition names with their current duration and speed animation. So in that case, it's going to be opacity, and then same duration and same speed. Remember, in order to do that, you just need to type a comma at the end of each section. All right. So we are just changing these two, and that's it. Now I need to give it a class active, which is this one. So if my navigation has the class of active, I need to change the top and my opacity, like so. I already done that, so it's right there. So now let's give it a whirl, and there you go. Now the last thing to do is to target my list items, to go one by one. So in order to do that, first of all I need to create an animation for my list item, but first let's set the initial values, like so. So for my list item should be opacity 0 and transform translate in the y-axis 50 pixels, because this is coming from the bottom to the top. It's translating, moving up 50 pixels because the initial position is 50 pixels, a little bit down. So having said that, inside of my JavaScript, I will use an animation. So first of all, let me just create that. So keyframes. If this doesn't make sense, don't worry, we'll just in a second. Li fade, I'm just going to call it that, from two keywords. So from these properties to these properties, opacity 1 and translate 0 pixels. Now finally we can come here and say the following: for my list items, I need to loop through them because this is returning a DOM object, which is an array of my elements. So for each item, I need to say the following: I have my list item, then I need to set the style and then call animation. Here going to use backticks. You will see later why, but just backticks. And then first of all, my keyframe, I just call it li fade. Then my duration is going to be the same, and then the speed is, and field mode is going to be forwards to keep the forward, if I can spell forwards, to remain the last with the last property that that element has. In this case, going to be opacity 1 and translate 0, like so. It's remaining this. If I remove it, it's remained this one. All right then. So then, in order to see, because now you won't be able to see it. You won't be able to see this animation. Why? Because everything is happening at the same time. So we need to give it a slightly delay. So for this one, let's just play with the same value. This is going to be delayed. So, pop, there you go, finally. But as you've seen, we have two problems. First, the animation doesn't re-triggers again. It only works once, as you've seen, and they all come in one as a block and not each one by one. So I need to do that. So in order to achieve that, let me introduce you. We're going to use a ternary operator here, a conditional, and I will say the following: if my animation already exists, question mark, please restart the animation. Otherwise, just trigger that animation. So if we give it a whirl now, here, animation move pops up and animation pops up, and that's great. However, I need to give it a kind of, again, delay for each list item. So in order to do that, we need to call a next parameter here. First it was my iterator, and then here I'm going to use the index. Why? Because on my delay, my animation delay here, I'm going to use a little formula. So they already have it here. So just gonna grab this, just gonna copy, and then here going to paste it. So this is going to be the formula for my duration, since we have only 4 list items. So this is a little bit formula. Then if I run it again, it works. Right guys, that's pretty much it.
Wobble gobble up, right? See you next week, everybody.